I'm Gilbert Gottfried. We're here once again at Nutmeg Post with our engineer, Frank Verderosa. I'm here with my co-host, Frank Santopadre.
That's me.
And this is Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions. And sitting in with us is Mike McBeardo McPadden, whose new book, Heavy Metal Movies, Guitar Barbarians, Mutant Bimbos, and Cult Zombies Amok in the GGG most
666
ear and eye-ripping big screen. Oh, in the 666!
I like GGG for Gilbert G. Godfrey.
Gilbert
Godfrey Gore.
Gilbert Goddamn Godfrey.
That's a 6. It's a G. He's not only the author of that fine book, which we've plugged,
yes.
Heavy Metal Movies, many times, but he is also the social director. Yes, he's Lawrence Wees from The Love Boat. He's the social media director.
Right this way, John.
Social media guru extraordinaire for this very podcast. So, to our listeners, all those wonderful posts you see on Facebook and many of the Twitter things and all those fun little items and obscurities and oddballs are his brainstorm. So, he's finally here with us.
And now,
Good night.
Begin this episode, Frank and I have discussed a number of times Mad World.
Sure.
And then that led us to those other ones that were never as good. They've each, every couple of years, they try for a new Mad
Do you
World.
mean specifically all-star comedies, or you mean ones that use the plot of people crazy chasing a
those,
fortune?
And then there are the just plain all-star comedies.
Well, Mike, in his infinite wisdom, and because
Yes.
he does deep preparation, has presented us with a list.
Yeah, it's so often that plot lends itself to just piling one, half-dead celebrity onto another.
You mean chasing the
Chasing something,
Right.
yes, yeah.
Right.
The MacGuffin.
Right.
Or, in the case of the Finks, it can be about
Well, tell us about the
kidnapped
Finks.
Hollywood
All right.
stars.
Now,
Yeah.
The Finks
PHYNX.
is a movie I've been looking for years.
It's not easy
Really?
to find.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only
Yes.
somebody had sent you
Yes.
one.
Yeah, I wish I was asking people to send me if they could find it. And then finally, somebody sent me it, and the minute I got it, I looked at it right away.
Really?
And I watched it today.
It was burning a hole in the box.
Today. And the Finks, it's basically like, the only way I can describe it, if after the Monkees went off the air, if at the last minute they said, well, we'll bring you back for 15 more seasons, this would be the Monkees in the 15th
that good.
episode.
Wow.
It was a bad Monkees. But let me find you the page, because it's just too many.
It's right on the
here
front
it
there.
is.
The first page.
Here. The Finks, 1970. And first of all, we have Mike Kellen.
Who the hell's Mike Kellen?
Mike Kellen. If you saw him, you'd
Frank.
know
I
him in a
would?
second.
Mike Kellen?
Oh, my God. How could you not know Mike Kellen?
Have you ever seen the horror film Sleepaway Camp?
No.
Okay, well,
I'm not a slasher guy.
And he was in that movie I recommended once, The Incident.
Oh, yeah.
Takes place.
the Tony Musante
Yeah,
movie on
he's like
Midnight
a big
Express.
guy.
He's
now I think
Billy's
I-
father.
Oh, now
Kind
I know
of
who he
like
is.
an old
I
guy.
know, I know.
booze, you smoke that shit.
I got it.
So
Didn't
Mike
know his name.
Kellen is a fine actor. He was a very talented actor. And in here he plays a character who runs like the CIA, who they call Bogey.
Oh, great.
So Mike Kellen is walking around doing the worst Humphrey Bogart imitation you've ever heard in your life. But just let me read off the cast.
Go ahead.
So it's Mike Kellen, Michael Ansara,
Ex-Barbara Eden
Joan
husband.
Blondell, Martha Ray, George Tobias, Rich Little,
Of course.
Ed Sullivan, Georgie Jessel, Leo Gorsey, and Hunts Hall, and they are wearing their Bowery Boys outfit. Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
God.
Andy Devine, Rudy Valley, Harold Sakata, Busby Berkeley, Dick Clark,
Wow.
Xavier Cougat.
Xavier Cougat shows up.
No
the
Charo.
Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Wow.
Johnny Weissmiller, James Brown, Richard Pryor, Butterfly McQueen.
I'm sold.
Rhonda Barrett.
Rona Barrett.
Or Rona.
Rona Barrett, I mean. Guy Lombardo, Dorothy Lamour, Ruby Keeler, Clint Walker, and Joe Lewis.
That's
And one star I left out, big celebrity, Colonel Sanders.
He also left out Pat McCormick.
Oh, Pat McCormick.
His father O'Houlihan.
Right. Wow.
It's like I said, like the worst. It makes Head by the Monkees look like a great film. It is like if the Monkees went on too many seasons.
It has one of those scenes where you were talking with Amy Heckling about when the mobster gives a college dissertation.
Right.
Yes.
The Dick Clark scene. So what it is they have like the Monkees type of band is going to go rescue all these kidnapped Hollywood stars.
Okay.
And it's very much like the Hollywood era of like Mike Kellen say, but not him particularly, of like the old actor with the love beads and the Nehru jacket.
Sure.
Going groovy.
Yes.
Sure, like
Very much
Groucho
like
trying
that.
to be
Yeah,
hip and
exactly.
skidoo.
when Sammy Davis used to wear the
groovy.
Nehru jacket.
And,
Salt and pepper.
But there's a part where Dick Clark is assessing the band. He's like, they're vile, they're disgusting, they're repulsive, and I love them. Like that's one of those scenes. Yeah.
And
You're like
so
waiting for him to just say,
It's
"And
a
I love
comedy.
them."
and
it's
Pat
a riot.
O'Brien
Yeah.
is in it, and you're watching all of them, and you're going, I wonder how many of these people know their own names at this point.
Really? The year is 1970.
That was Leo Gorsey's last movie.
Okay.
Oh, God.
So
But
these
not
people
Hans Holz.
on wobbly
And they're
legs.
dressed in the hats and the jackets.
Awful.
I mean, Hunts Hall and Leo Gorsey are showing the alcohol is showing.
Right. It's a little like Jessel at the end with the military outfit
Oh,
and the medals
yes.
on. Yeah.
But there is a scene where they're all assembled, and it looks like a Jack Davis cartoon
But
come to
The
life.
music is Lieber and Stoller.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the music sucks.
I have it. I have a copy because someone sent me one,
Yeah.
unlike you, and I have yet to watch
And you
it.
waited on it?
Directed by, who was the director?
I opened it right away.
Wow.
I forgot who directed
That's
it.
the Finks.
Because
The Finks, yeah.
there's a song in it, Tell Me Your Sign. And it's like, tell me your sign. Don't make me wonder. Tell me your sign.
Sounds
What
great.
star are you under? It's like, it's horrible.
Okay, so that's the Finks. That's one
And
that
I
I've
think
got
it
to
was
watch.
shot in like Yugoslavia.
Yes, yeah. Because they were kidnapped by communists.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Dorothy Lamour and Georgie Chess.
I got it at home, and now
And Tarzan.
Now
And-
I've got to
and
watch.
Martha Ray
Yeah.
is supposed to faint at one point. So she's standing on her feet, does like a fainting look on her face. It immediately cuts to her lying on the floor
Right.
and putting her head down. To cut the whole falling over part.
All right,
which
so-
would have killed her.
So that's the Finks.
Right.
And now tell us about Wonton Ton, the dog who saved Hollywood.
Well, that's like 10 times the size of the Finks, but it's the same thing.
1976.
That would have been a great blurb.
Yeah.
10 times the size of the Finks.
And this was directed by Michael Winner of the Death Wish.
Yeah, it made not
franchise.
just Death Wish, but a lot of like those really insane 80s Charles Bronson movies.
Right.
Including Death Wish 2.
Like Telephone.
No, Telephone's a Don Siegel movie. That's a very good
Is
one.
that Don Siegel? That's
Yeah,
a shame.
no, he made Death Wish 3 with
Okay.
Eli Wallach
Okay.
and Martin Balsam, and they're up in
Okay.
the Bronx. And
Oh, that's right.
Right.
that's an amazing film.
And now,
yeah.
now, here's something
Yeah.
funny with Death Wish 3. they made a big deal that it was coming out that Bronson is back in New York.
Yes.
But most of it wasn't shot in New York.
No, shot in England. It looks like the South Bronx, though. They did a good job. God
Yeah.
bless Michael Winner. But yeah, no, and Martin Balls was like, I brought back some machine guns from World War II. And they take on the entire criminal element of the East
yes.
Coast.
By the way, Michael Winner, when we had Dominic Chianese here, and he was talking about working for an egomaniac director whose name he didn't want to mention.
God,
it was
that was
Michael.
it?
It was Michael Winner.
There is my favorite scene in Death Wish 3. I forget the actress. Very pretty actress, now past her prime.
I can't think of
and
what it
had
is.
to play the girlfriend
Yeah.
of Bronson.
Where's Paul, our researcher, to look that up? Death Wish 3, Paul. Who was
Death
the
Wish
actress?
3, the girl, blonde-haired girl.
He's working on it. Go on.
Okay. So he, of course, has to fall in love, Bronson, so there'll be someone to get killed so he can go out and shoot people. So there's a part where she's in her car and one of the thugs goes up and punches her in the face, knocks her out, and turns the keys, and the car starts rolling. And right before she wakes up, she screams, the car crashes, and explodes into
yeah,
flames.
right.
Wow.
And, oh, wait, he's coming
Here
in.
he is. Who's the actress?
Are we talking about Deborah Raffin?
Deborah
Raffin.
Raffin, yes.
Nice work,
So,
Paul.
Paul.
so Deborah Raffin screams.
Thank you, sir.
And the car crashes into a gasoline truck, and it goes boom, boom, in flames. Bronson, at that point, it was like directing an animal. It was like he walks out, looks, turns around, and walks away. Like he had given up even pretending he cared at this point.
Death Wish 3 also had, this is another great movie trope, which was from the 80s. The multiracial street gang that was
yes.
sort of punk rock, sort of new waves, and like roller disco. There's always like one guy on roller skates. With a
Oh,
bull
yes,
box. Yeah.
yes.
So tell us about Wonton Ton, the dog who saved Hollywood.
I mean,
which I remember.
Oh, wait, before I forget.
Yes.
The guy in Death Wish 3, his name, it's...
Oh, the bad guy, the actor, the redheaded guy?
It sounded like it was like the name of the guy who used to do the Kraft
Paul,
commercials.
red-haired guy in Death Wish 3.
The villain.
He
gang
sounded like the guy who used to do the Kraft cheese commercials.
And that's
No,
not
no,
him,
no.
no.
No, that's a Bill and
No,
Ted
big
guy.
tall guy.
He had his head shaped.
Balsam, it's not him.
No.
No, no.
Martin Balsam.
Gavin O'Hurley.
Hurley.
That's it.
it.
Gavin
Is
O'Hurley.
he
yeah.
related to...
Dan?
You thinking of Dan O'Hurley from the
Yeah,
Halloween?
was he related?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good
was he
question.
related to that?
Offhand, I don't know, but we'll
That's
find out.
interesting.
Yes, we'll beat down those doors.
But once again, tell us about
Wonton
Wonton
Ton.
Ton. Obviously,
starring a guy who was on our podcast.
That's right, Bruce Stern.
right.
Yeah.
Obviously, a spoof of Rin Tin Tin,
Yes,
the famous
and
movie dog.
the premise of the movie is that Rin Tin Tin, Wonton Ton,
yeah.
and it was produced by Sir Run Run Shaw, too. So it's like...
Really?
Yes, yeah. So Wonton Ton disappears, and like 1,000-year-old Hollywood actors try to find Wonton Ton. And the cast list, I mean, it's an
Go
entire
ahead,
printed
knock a
page.
couple of them out for us.
Well, okay.
Give us
so
the highlights of the
main,
cast.
Okay, so the main cast is Bruce Stern, Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr. But then the cameos, another guest, Shecky Green,
Oh, shit.
Billy Barty, Milton Berle, Henny Youngman, Georgie Jessel again, Stephen Fetchit,
Step and fetch it.
Yes.
Jack Carter, who almost was in this
okay.
chair,
That one hurts again.
Hunts Hall, because that was not his last film, the Finks. The Ritz brothers play cleaning women.
Of course they do.
And Andy Devine is
Andy
on
Devine
that
again.
one, too.
Yeah.
And Dorothy Lamour.
Yeah.
And Joan Blondell.
Must have been
yeah.
the same casting agent. and
And
Key
Edgar
Luke.
Bergen.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Maury Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Johnny Weissmuller's
Yeah.
back.
Louis Nye, Ethel Merman, Dean Stockwell. Wow.
I mean, it's just name somebody.
Right.
And they were in this
Name
movie.
somebody who was alive.
And this was a huge bomb.
Peter Lawford.
And Edgar Bergen.
Again.
Right.
Yeah.
Victor Mature, speaking of the monkeys. So how did Wonton Ton turn out It was a giant
It's
flop.
a huge bomb. It was sort of like, remember
We never
in the
asked
70s?
Stern about it. We should have asked him. Yeah.
In the 70s,
should
there
have
was,
him back
after
for that
Benji, they would try to
Sure.
have like these
Sure.
animal crazed movies. So it was one of those. They had like Wonton dolls and things like that. Like the movie Homps with the camel.
I remember Homps
Oh, yes! yes!
And Matilda, the kangaroo, the boxing
with
kangaroo.
Robert Mitchum.
And
Oh,
Elliot
yes.
Gould.
Oh, Matilda. Oh, Lord. Here's some good trivia on Wonton Ton. This is the kind of stuff only Mike McPadden could come up with. The Ritz brothers later appeared with Yvonne DiCarlo in the R-rated sex comedy Blazing Stewardesses.
Directed by Al Adamson of Dracula versus
Yes,
Frankenstein.
sure.
I know that
Yes.
name.
Now, I don't think it was Al Adamson, but who was his partner?
Sam Sherman.
Sam Sherman. I heard that Sam Sherman, when the Stooges were
That's what-
1
yeah.
inch from the grave.
That's what Blazing Stewardess is. He
Yeah.
developed it for the Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
And he had them to the set and everything. There's a picture of Moe and Larry in the wheelchair, and they were going to shoot with Joe DeRita. And Larry was really out of it at that
Yeah.
point. And when they just realized they couldn't do it, that they went and got the two surviving Ritz brothers who do a song and they're like old, broken, fat men in Hawaiian shirts.
I think one of them turns up in Silent Movie. One of
Oh,
the
yes.
Ritz
Yeah,
brothers,
he
Harry
definitely
Ritz.
does. Harry, yeah.
Now, I heard, like, with the Sam Sherman movie, of course they had to take Larry out of the home in
Yeah,
his wheelchair.
the actor's home, yeah.
And they wanted to do a scene, and you knew they were going to do that quick, fast-paced,
yeah.
speed up the
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
That once he gets to this place and there's hot girls around,
Right.
he's speeding around this
Yeah, in the wheelchair.
Yeah. and then-
Oh, boy, what a
God.
tomato. Yeah.
All right, so we got time in this episode for one more. Tell
All
us
right.
about Scavenger Hunt, 1979, which is a close relative of It's a Mad, Mad World.
Yeah, it's a horrible film that as a kid, like I saw the ad for it and it said, so it was about a guy, this board game mogul. And I said, oh, Vincent Price, that sounds good. And his name is Milton Parker.
Oh,
So,
God.
like, Milton Bradley
So it's
Parker.
like Clue meets
Right.
Mad World?
So I was 10 and I was like, fuck you, Milton Parker. And my one attempt to watch it when I was like maybe 12, it gave me an immediate headache. It was just what a horrible movie. And it was from the director of another all-star mega bomb, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts
Michael
Club Band.
Schultz, who
Oh,
made
it's-
Car Wash.
Yeah, Car
Yeah,
Wash, which was
yeah.
a good movie, a
Yeah.
good all-star comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, George Burns.
I have it. It's terrible.
Oh, God, Billy Preston.
I bought it thinking this is
Alice
fun.
Cooper.
Let me put it in, and it
Yeah.
just made me depressed for a
Yeah,
week.
but I mean, he's kept working.
Michael
through the
Schultz,
years.
yeah.
This was his follow-up, and the cast of Scavenger.
Let's
Hunt,
hear it.
Richard Benjamin,
1979.
James Coco, Scatman Crothers,
Of course.
Cloris Leachman, Cleavon Little, Roddy McDowell, Robert Morley.
What a cast.
Now he seemed to be around a lot in the 70s.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He was in Who is Killing the Great Chefs of Europe.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
Robert Morley.
Jacqueline Bisset,
Yeah.
George Segal.
Yeah. I
Richard
like that.
Mulligan, Tony Randall, Dirk Benedict, Stephen First,
Okay, he's around.
Richard Mazer,
He's around.
yeah, Avery Schreiber, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Wow.
Meatloaf,
Of
whose
course.
name I have tattooed on my knuckles.
And he does.
Carol Wayne, the Tea Time movie
Sure,
girl who
she drowned,
Yeah.
ironically.
Yeah. And I just saw her in a movie called Surf 2.
Wow.
And Surf 2 is an amazing film, another Eddie Deason vehicle.
Okay.
But
Did you ever think you'd hear the expression Eddie Deason vehicle? Unless it was in reference to him parking cars at a restaurant.
she plays the owner of a surf shop. And the movie came out like a month before she drowned.
Oh, no. And who was the last person credited in Scavenger Hunt?
Pat McCormick as a carnival.
Pat McCormick.
Oh, tell us about Skate Town, USA.
You know, I kind of love Skate Town, USA. It's kind of like those old big broadcast movies where, like, it would just be like the gang is all gathered or something. And so Flip Wills is the host. It's about this roller palace, and he just
remember
introduces
this
a
movie.
bunch of acts. But in between the acts are all these little comedy vignettes. So, like Bill Kirkenbauer, remember the stand-up
Sure.
comic?
Used to do the baby being born
Oh,
with
yes,
his bald head.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was actually one of the few stand-ups to do Saturday Night Live. Remember when they would occasionally
Yeah,
have
he's
him?
around.
Yeah.
Funny guy.
He's like the guy that runs the concession stand, and he's trying to deal with Dorothy Stratton, the murdered playmate.
Oh, geez.
Well, she was still alive at that point. And he can't, she's too high.
I thought it was after she died.
It was,
Skate Town, USA.
yeah, Billy Barty, Joey Ross.
Joey Ross, Gil.
And
Ruth Buzzy.
yeah.
Go on.
Maureen McCormick, Scott
Patrick
Baio.
Swayze as the bully.
Right. The Murray Langston shows up.
Yes.
Unknown comic.
Yeah. And one of the things that's really funny is like they have these acts come out. So it's like a guy dressed as Uncle Sam on stilts and roller skates. They're all pretty mediocre. There's like a bunch of kids that come out.
Watched every one of these fucking
I
things.
saw this in the
You're
theater.
amazing. You're amazing.
I saw this as a midnight movie a couple years ago. These kids
treasure.
come out on roller skates and bounce basketballs. You think, oh, they're going to do some Harlem Globetrotters trick. But they just bounce the basketballs.
So this must have come out right at the peak of those things like Xanadu.
And
Yes.
Roller
And-
Boogie.
yeah,
with
Roller
Linda Blair.
Boogie, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
it came
God.
out the same time
as
Oh,
Roller
my
Boogie.
God, yes.
You know what we'll do if you're through talking about Skate
Yeah.
Town USA? We'll break it up into two parts.
Okay,
There's you
terrific.
have so much here.
Yeah.
You want to say something else about Skate Town USA?
I
didn't mean to interrupt you.
certainly
Yeah.
do.
Go ahead.
Joey Ross appears in this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he had a very interesting later career
Yeah.
in a bunch of not just this, but sex comedies.
Oh, yeah.
One of which is Slumber Party 57 with Deborah Winger, who shows her little wingers. Rainbow Smith, who is one of my favorite actresses, and he plays the patrolman. They think there's a cat burglar outside. And he plays the cop who shows up, and he does the full Gunther Tootie. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh,
And with these naked girls.
Did you know that Joey Ross was reduced to doing these?
Oh, I think I saw clips
Yeah.
of it.
And then the happy hooker goes to Washington.
Yes,
he's in.
with
Yes.
Joey Heatherton.
With
Yes,
Joey Heatherton,
correct.
yes. And then Gas Pump Girls. He plays a mobster named Bruno.
Bless your heart.
And what that's about is these hot chicks are like, oh, our Uncle Joe's gas station is going out of business. We got to help him. And Uncle Joe is played by Hunts Hall, and that's his last film.
Oh,
So we've
jeez.
covered The Finks, which is Leo Gorsey's last film, and Gas Pump
Oh,
Girls.
and speaking of last jobs of anybody, there was that one, like Bikini Island, I think it was called, or
Right.
something, or the Bikini
Bikini Beach.
Car Wash, or yeah.
Yeah. And it was the last film of Frank Nelson.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Wow.
And I met this guy who worked on it. And he said no one there knew who Frank Nelson was except for this guy. He's thrilled to see Frank Nelson. And Frank Nelson one time came in, it looked like he was crying.
Oh, no.
And
Oh, my
that's what he had found out that day from his doctor, that he was dying.
Jeez,
And he was working on this crap tits and ass
Bikini Island.
comedy.
Do you remember the Frank Nelson joke from The Simpsons?
Okay.
Where he's doing this, yes! And then Homer says to him, why do you talk that way? And he says, because I had a stroke!
Why should he get your name in two episodes when it took him 12 to get mine?
Yeah,
He loves you more.
yeah. With Frank, I think it was over 2 years we worked on this.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is a continuation of last week's episode, and Mike flew back into town
Yes.
to do this again.
My wife is very understanding. Thank you, Rachel.
The theme, yeah, and this is just fun for us. We could go on all night. The theme is bad all-star. What are we saying? All-star comedies?
We'll say all-star comedy mega bombs. Yeah.
Okay.
Disasters.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in the last episode, we talked about the immortal Skate Town USA.
Yes.
Wonton Ton, the dog that saved Hollywood, which we should have asked
The
Bruce Stern about.
Finks.
And the immortal The Finks. So what do we got this time, Mike?
Well, this is actually a film I kind of love called Sextet
I'm
Mae West.
familiar with it.
Yes. And it was actually her last film.
So May was not exactly in
Well, you know,
jogging.
1978.
Yeah, so she was 84, but they think she may have been older.
Yeah.
They also think she might have had a cock, as you know. But
Well,
you,
then.
You realize that this rumor will be popping up in every one of these podcasts from now on.
so it was done by I can't think of the guy's name, but it was an exploitation. But it was made like at the height of like Rocky Horror to be a midnight.
We'll
movie.
put our researcher is
Now,
also here, Paul Rayburn. Paul, who
is-
directed Sextet?
This is after the fame or infamy of
Myra Breckenridge.
Now, I
Breckenridge.
just realized I can't believe I don't have Myra Breckenridge on this
Oh,
list.
God.
But was it safe to say
Yes.
that was an all-star cast? Because I remember Rex Reed.
John Huston,
Huston.
Raquel Welch.
I
You're
think
right.
Tom
Yeah.
Selleck's
Tom
Tom
Selleck
Selleck.
is in it. Yeah.
Who did I say? Rex Reed's in it.
Rex Reed
Oh,
plays
Raquel
Myron.
Welch.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Who
heard,
wakes up and says, "Where are my tits?" After his operation.
I heard-
John Carradine.
And
as
John
the-
Oh,
Carradine
oh
did,
my
right.
God!
Surgeon.
Yes,
That's
as
right.
the Mad Doctor.
and he's whistling at children. He goes, "I call that penis from heaven."
Oh God!
Oh, what these great actors were reduced to.
And of course, I heard Raquel Welch and Mae West hated each
Yes.
other.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul's here with the director of Sextet,
Eddie Turstall.
Eddie Turstall.
Eddie Turstall.
Oh, his father died in my basement. I never heard.
Why didn't you let him out?
Eddie Turstall.
Eddie Turstall.
All right, tell us about Sextet, my friend.
So it was based on a play that Mae West wrote in the 20s and went to jail for on Roosevelt Island. She was locked up for obscenity.
I remember.
Called Sex. And she plays a parody of herself called Marlo Manners. And she's the hottest chick in Hollywood. But it's Mae West.
She's pushing 90.
And the sextet are her ex-husbands. So it's these six. So one of them is Tony Curtis. Timothy Dalton is her new one.
Okay.
And they have an amazing duet. They sing Love Will Keep Us Together by the Captains of New York.
Oh, geez.
And it comes out of
We've
nowhere.
gotta see
It's
this.
amazing.
I've got to see this.
Because he's sitting there on their wedding night and he just goes, "Oh, love." And then the music starts. He just goes, "Love will keep us together."
So Neil Sedaka got a check.
Yes. And Mae's big part in that is he's like, she goes, I will. I will.
Now, I heard, I don't know if it's true, but that's never stopped me before.
No.
That Mae West at that point could not remember if she had one word.
Right.
So she had the earphone
Oh, that makes sense.
in
Yeah.
her ear. And I heard it was really a bad connection, and she was getting airplane
Oh, really?
signals. So at some point she was going, we're flying at a high altitude. Wind is coming from the northeast. And
She's waiting for her line, and she's getting transmissions from LAX.
then will be heavy turbulence.
And then she'd really play up the word cockpit. She'd be like,
Yeah.
this is from the cockpit.
Yeah.
Tell us the rest of the cast of
So
Sextet.
Dom DeLuise is her assistant. He sings Honey Pie by the Beatles.
Great.
Tony Curtis is her Russian diplomat.
Oh,
ex.
jeez.
Ringo Starr is her egomaniacal Italian director ex. Keith Moon is her fashion designer.
Oh.
And there's a big like montage where he has these gowns for her to model, and she looks like this fucking creature from hell. And she comes out, and there's like a big brassy music, and it's just like da 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 da, and then she'll do one of her old lines. She's like, "I'm the girl who works for Paramount all day and Fox all night," and Keith Moon is playing a flaming homosexual. He's just flipping
Who else
out.
is in this?
Alice Cooper is a bellboy.
Of course.
In a short hair wig, and he plays a disco song on the piano, which is actually great. George Hamilton is her mafiosa ex. George Raff, she's in the elevator with, and she's like, "Hey, George, haven't seen you in about 2 years." He's like, "I was doing 2 years."
We got to
Oh,
get George
jeez.
Hamilton.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. And then Rona Barrett. And then I realized Rona Barrett is also in The Finks, and she's also in Wonton.
Wow.
So she's another
Okay,
triple
now
A.
what is the name of the speech defect that Rona Barrett had? Because she had almost like an Elmer Fudd type
Yeah,
of...
yeah. I don't know. Baba Wawa is.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Wow. So that's Sextet. in
Sextet. And then
1978.
when I interviewed Alice Cooper for the Heavy Metal Movies book, and he told me that Mae like took him aside and said, "Well, all right, big boy, let's go on up to my place."
Oh, no.
She made a pass at
She
Alice
made
Cooper.
a serious pass, and he said, "I'm flattered." He said, "You're 100 years old, and I think you might be a man." And then he went and told Keith Moon, who said, Oh, you think that makes you special? She did it to me, too. And Ringo.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Ouch.
And we don't know. Alice said he turned her down. I don't know about the other two.
Okay, so where do you want to go here? You got a couple. A couple left on your list.
How about
okay.
There's Yellowbeard, $1 Million Mystery.
Fine, let's talk about Yellowbeard because I've actually seen that one. Rattle off the cast of Yellowbeard for us.
So this is like
You seen Yellowbeard?
I don't remember.
Graham Chapman from Monty Python.
Yeah.
83. This is from.
Yeah.
And this is like a meeting. I mean, this is, your all-star cast.
Yeah,
I mean,
James
this is
Mason.
So James Mason, yeah. But in terms of comedy, it's The Goon Show, Monty Python,
Spike Milligan.
Mel Brooks, and Cheech and Chong, like all the coterie of actors. And so we got James Mason, but Graham Chapman, Eric Idle, John Cleese, Peter Cook, Spike Milligan, Madeline Kahn, Peter Boyle, Kenneth Mars, Cheech and Chong, and David Bowie is the voice of a shark. It is fucking shit. I mean, it is not. There is not a funny second in this.
I don't remember it. I remember seeing it when I was.
It's
in
another
college.
one that it gives you a headache. It's a migraine.
Well, they all disowned it, didn't they?
Yes.
Chapman directed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you when you were mentioning Ringo Starr,
Yeah.
Ringo Starr was also in that
Candy.
Richard,
Yes.
Candy.
That's another debacle.
God damn, we should have brought
yes,
that
and
up.
who else was?
Okay.
John Huston.
Oh yeah, John Huston.
Richard Burton.
Right.
John Aston
Yep.
is sort of the Peter Sellers role, in terms of being he plays a bunch of different characters. So, and that was a thing back then to imitate Dr. Strangelove,
Oh,
which of
yes.
course was written by Terry Southern.
Well,
Same
you know
guy.
what
That
was
was
funny? At the beginning of the Finks, there's some shtick at the beginning, and then the opening is cartoon.
Right.
So it's obviously wants to be the Pink Panther.
Yes. Oh, that's an excellent point too. Yeah. All these caper things.
I remember about Yellowbeard. It came out around the same time as another big budget pirate movie that bombed, and that was Pirates with Walter Matthau.
So,
the Polanski
Polanski movie,
of all
yeah.
people.
Which was one of the most expensive films ever
Right.
made.
It
at
was
that
a
point.
gigantic pirate movies just bombed one after
Oh,
the other.
and Gina Davis.
Oh, and Cutthroat
Cutthroat
Island.
Island, yeah.
Killed her career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funnier than Yellowbeard.
And now, wasn't Brando was in Candy too?
Yes.
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 And I'm trying to think, Lee Marvin, or is it James Coburn?
It was an all-star cast.
Yeah.
And then what was the movie? Also, something about a strangler. That was also an old star film. Something beard.
Stranglebeard. I don't know.
Stranglebeard.
Yeah, Stranglebeard.
Better than Yellowbeard. And what about, and this one Gilbert and I have talked about on the show, we talked about actual ripoffs of It's a Mad, Mad World.
Do you want some of the Candy cast?
Yeah,
we got the
please.
cast
Candy
of Candy
cast.
here from our researcher, Paul Rayburn.
Marlon Brando, you got
Sure,
him,
Brando.
Ringo Starr.
Ringo.
Whoops, sorry.
You can take it right at the mic.
Ringo is the Mexican gardener.
James Coburn,
Why is Ringo turning up in all these bombs?
Walter Matthau, Charles Aznavour,
Of course.
Anita Pallenberg, John Huston,
Yeah.
John Aston,
Wow.
Elsa Martinelli, Buck Henry, and there are pages more. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Julian Beck and Judith Molina.
Wow. Wow.
So all-star cast, no question.
Yeah, and a tremendous flop.
Yeah. And not a good film either.
No, it's sort of it's in the same. It keeps company with the Magic Christian, I think. Not
Yeah.
the Magic Christian. I like the Magic Christian. What's the one I'm thinking of with John Huston, the All-Star Bomb?
Myra Breckinridge.
Casino Royale.
Yeah, I mean, kind of Magic Christian, which is a
I like
very
Magic
likable
Christian.
film. Yes,
Yeah.
very much. But not
I
also
misspoke.
doesn't really kind
But
of
was
work.
there
No.
a movie where Richard Burton is a strangler?
It sounds familiar. Paul,
I'm here.
while that's
The
happening,
Assassination of Trotsky. Oh, Hammersmith is out. That's what I think that's called.
Hammersmith is out.
Hammersmith is out. I think that's what that's called.
I remember Richard Burton in the Bad Exorcist sequel.
Oh, Exorcist 2.
Oh, God.
Yeah, The Heretic.
Yes.
Which does have a, oh yes, where he says Kakumum will help me find Pazuzu.
And was there not a movie where they tried to pair Richard Burton and Linda Blair in a May-December?
No, it was Richard Burton and Tatum O'Neal.
Tatum
in
O'Neal!
Circle of Two.
Oh,
And she has severely mismatched boobs.
Who else besides Richard Burton was in this movie?
The Strangler movie?
Yeah.
And we'll put it out there to our
I don't
fans.
know.
And if
I
if
could
you
be
can't
wrong about
find it. But-
Hammersmith is out.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Paul's working on it. But in the meantime, If he doesn't come up with it.
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
That's it.
I knew
Blackbeard
they
with
had
Elkie
beard in
Summer.
We got it.
Yes, Blackbeard. Yes.
Okay.
Sybil Danning, Elkie Summer. Yes, and he kills all his wives. It was.
Is it a comedy?
Yes, it was a
Okay.
black comedy. He said it was his tribute to Vincent Price.
Who the hell would put Richard Burton in a black comedy? Yeah.
I don't know. Elizabeth Taylor.
The man had no sense of humor. Okay, so now what we've talked about and the genesis of this, even before you told us you were coming in, Gilbert and I were talking about clones of It's a Mad, Mad World. These
Right.
kind of all-star casts,
Yeah.
but specifically chasing a fortune.
Right.
Or someone dies
Yeah.
and his fortune is scattered to the heirs and there's
Yeah.
a madcap pursuit. This movie, $1 Million Mystery,
Oh yes.
from 1987 was
Yeah.
the one Gilbert was trying to think of.
that had the hefty bags.
It was Glad Lock bags.
Gladlock bags.
Gladlock
Gladlock.
bags.
So explain to us.
So this was inspired by Dino De Laurentiis. Saw people lined up in Times Square, and he thought they were going to see a movie, but they were buying lottery tickets. So he thought, if only there was a way I could have combined. And
You're funny.
so the premise was this movie that was co-financed by Gladlock garbage bags.
Yes.
Would be about this fortune that gets thrown out somewhere in America, and the audience at the end of the movie can go find the actual $1 million. We'll see the people on screen looking for it, and then you can go. But throughout the film, people are like, hand me that Gladlock bag.
Oh, jeez.
So it's not exactly product placement. It's not subtle.
It's placement with product, I guess. Yeah, related
Dino
to.
De Laurentiis.
Yeah, and a massive bomb. And I mean, and we really want to stretch the idea of star by calling this an all-star cast.
Yeah, this was a little bit of a stretch, but it falls into the other category.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is
the mad,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
But
so who's the cast?
I want to say this is yet again an Eddie Deason vehicle.
We got to get Eddie.
You have to.
We'll call him.
Tom Bosley, Rich Hall, who plays. This is
the
another thing.
Sniglets guy.
Yes, in the '80s was like there'd always be a Rambo parody in a movie.
Yeah.
So he plays the Rambo type of character, Rich Hall.
Yeah. There's a Rambo parody in the Weird Al movie, isn't there?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is well done. But
UHF?
everything, Gremlins too.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it. Kevin Pollak, Rick Overton, Penny Baker, who was the 35th anniversary Playboy centerfold. Greg Travis, do you remember him? The stand-up, he was David Sleaze, the punk magician.
Oh.
Can't
Was
say
his
I do.
character. And a professional wrestler named Hard-Boiled Haggerty.
Gilbert wrestled under that name.
Yes.
Hard-boiled agony.
And then a 14-year-old girl did win the prize. She guessed that it was.
So there was a prize.
There really was $1 million
Okay.
in a Gladlock bag. Let's be sure to say a Gladlock bag. It was behind the nose of the Statue of Liberty.
I'm thinking of Joe Dante's impression of Dino when he was on the show.
Oh.
The shark, he go crazy, he kill the land, he kill everybody. And before we run out of time, and we're on the subject of Mad World variations, It's a Mad, Mad World variations, or homages, to put
Yes,
it politely.
yes.
Tell us about, and people have to remember this one, Rat Race.
Rat Race from 2001, unremarkable, but it. Gilbert would like this. What is funny about it is the Nazi humor that's in it. But it's.
How did you not turn up in any of these, Gilbert?
Yeah,
I
this
know.
is a good question.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson ends
Your
up
phone
looking. Yes, they go to the
disconnected?
Barbie Museum, but it turns out to be the Klaus Barbie Museum. And through one of these madcap slapstick moments, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, ends up like with the Hitler mustache. And
Well, he's always
walking
funny.
around.
Rowan
Yeah, no, I
Atkinson.
mean the cast is good. It's Whoopi Goldberg,
I'm
Rowan
familiar with
Atkinson,
it.
John Lovitz, John Cleese, Wayne Knight, Dave Thomas, Kathy Najimy, and
But
then
it's
Cuba
trying.
Gooding.
It's one
Yeah.
of those movies that keeps going. Always clumsy.
Oh,
because they
yeah,
got to go
yeah.
to each one's
Right.
and none of them are that funny.
no, including Mad Mad World.
Right.
Oh yeah, Mad Men
Right.
World
Doesn't
was
work.
never
Yeah.
that funny.
Right.
But these other ones are horrible.
Yeah, Rat Race is not good.
And then in Rat Race, I think it's got John Cleese
Right.
as the rich guy. And so the way they trick him is they're on stage and they go, and, Mr. So-and-so is going to be giving you $1 billion to this. And he's like all shocked and scared. And I'm thinking, why can't he just go, no, I wasn't going to do that.
That would have robbed the world of Rat Race. Had he gone that way.
Yeah.
Gil, how you didn't turn up in one of these is really beyond me. Well, I mean, at least Rat Race or $1 Million Mystery.
Oh, yeah.
And then, there's Dave Thomas is in this, and it made me think there's another movie we won't go too far called Speed Zone.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is like a lot of the SCTV cast. And that's my favorite television show of all time is SCTV. They didn't make one decent fucking movie.
No.
Between all of them until Levy hooked up with Chris Guest.
Oh, the Chris Guest. You don't like Strange Brew?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think, okay. Yeah. Oh, actually, the actual spin-off movie that I forgot? Yes. No, Strange was pretty good.
It's fun.
But I just remember back when, like, Speed Zone is John Candy and Joe Flaherty. And, these movies would come out, and I'd see John Candy and just go, oh, this is going to suck. Like, one after another. But
I got one here, buddy.
Yes.
Before we sign off.
Please.
Did I interrupt you? Go ahead.
Not at all, no.
Okay. I found an all-star cast bad comedy from the 70s.
All right.
And much of the cast is still alive.
Okay.
And we can invite them to do the show. And the movie is called The Big Bus.
Oh, yes, of course, the nuclear-powered bus. Oh, my God.
It's a disaster movie.
Parody of disaster movies, yes.
Oh, my God.
Holy moly.
Yes.
I really slept on the big bus.
Directed by Jim Frawley, who was a Monkees guy, Monkees director. And listen to this cast: Joe Bologna, who we should have.
Oh yeah.
Stalker Channing, who's around. John Beck, I think was in Xanadu, or I have the
That's
wrong
Michael
actor.
Beck.
Michael Beck. John Beck was in The Other Side of Midnight. Renee Auberjonois.
Oh,
he's
I love
good.
saying that. Ned Beatty, Bob Dishy. Remember Bob Dishy?
Yeah.
Jose Ferrer, Ruth Gordon, Harold Gould, Larry Hagman, Sally Kellerman, Lynn Redgrave, Richard Mulligan, Stuart Margolin.
Oh.
Coming on with us, Howard
Oh, he is?
Hesseman.
Great.
He is. Vic Tayback. what? Vito Scotti. And the list goes on. Terrible. One I've
Yes.
seen.
I did see that. I saw that on Channel 2, on CBS.
The
here in
Big
New York.
Bus.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the plot? Was it nuclear-powered
It was
bus?
a nuclear power plot going from, like, New York to Cleveland, and the big joke was, like, why Cleveland? Why not?
Right. So it was a spoof of Irwin Allen movies.
Right, exactly,
With the
yeah.
all-star
Yeah.
cast. Yeah. I'm trying to think, were there other big-budget disaster spoofs where they piled actors, other than, like, Swarm, which spoofs itself, or
Right.
Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, or any of those bad 80s or Irwin Allen joints. But
Not that I could think. I think
yeah.
the big bus was
The Big
one and
Bus.
done. Yeah.
The Big Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Off the cliff. Yeah.
Man, I just this has been the most depressing mini episode series that we've ever done. So that's it from Mike. You want to plug the book?
Okay. Oh, yeah. You say the name of the book.
Okay, it's heavy metal movies, guitar barbarians, mutant bimbos, and cult zombies amok in the GGG most ear and eye ripping big scream films ever! Exclamation point.
And can you say anything about the book you're working on, or is that top secret?
The next book is called "Going All the Way: The Ultimate Guide to Teen Sex Comedy Movies of the VHS Era." That'll be out for Christmas.
Fantastic. And I will invite our listeners to submit ideas, or not ideas, but submit names of big budget, big cast, all-star cast flops.
Please, I mean, the big bus was out there, and I missed it.
That's
so,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why that popped into my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe
Thank
Bologna.
God it did.
Who's
Thank
around?
God. Yeah.
And I'm Gilbert Gottfried with my co-host Frank Santopadre, and we've been talking once again to Mike McPadden.
Thank you, Mike.
And
Thank you, boys.
This was fun.
Gilbert and Frank's colossal, amazing, colossal.
Something like
one
that.
day.
Fuck it.
One day I'll get the title right.
Here we go, boys. 1, 2, 3.